It's lights out and away we go.
What's up, everybody, and welcome back to the GT UK F1 podcast. I'm joined by David.
Hey everyone, how are we all doing?
Probably feeling a lot better than either you or I are right now.
What do you mean? I just woke up from a great sleep I had on Sunday. So the Monaco Grand Prix, we will get into that in detail. The usual disclaimer, certainly on my part. I actually only saw a highlight reel of qualifying. I saw no practice. I saw a couple of highlight reels. I know, I think Piastri binned it once during practice, and there was one other one. There was a red flag for one other.
Had Joe won it?
Yeah, Jack. But obviously Monaco, one of the old street circuits, and usually if you've been there, there's nowhere to go.
Unless you Pierre Gasly, but we'll come on to that.
Foreshadowing.
Yeah. I mean, but when Oscar binned it, he binned it nose first.
Yeah, which luckily means that he didn't actually do a huge amount of damage to the car.
No, it did to the wing, though, but it was a quick replacement.
A wing's easy to replace. Yeah, I was had only he clipped the inside of the barrier at the
he did the
swimming pool.
Did your trick?
Yeah.
Clip that barrier and yeah.
There's a couple ones. Because one to do with the front wheel, one to do with the back wheel.
Hadjar was Hadjar was the back.
Did he do the front wheel at some point as well?
I don't know, was it him with the front wheel as well?
We really prepare for this well, don't we, folks?
It's not the fact that we prepare for it, it's the fact that because we didn't get a chance to actually watch practice, it's a case of, right, well, what the fuck happened?
Yeah.
And then, I mean, it can't be...
One did you in qualifying, didn't he? I will say, however, and I realise I'm poking the bear here for somebody to have an FIA rant. Do you reckon Ollie Behrman's ran over somebody in the FIA's cap?
Why? Because the fact that he's just getting absolutely shitted on by the FIA right now.
It's not that. Stroll gets a one-place grid penalty for causing a collision.
What, for whacking Leclerc?
Yeah. Okay, you whack the home racer, which is never good bad, but yeah, he gets a one place. One place. Ollie Behrman overtakes somebody during a red flag, and if you saw the video, Behrman came round the corner to a basically stationary car.
Yeah. And
to me, for him to try and stop behind it would have been far more dangerous than just continuing past it.
And then get to 10.
Gets 10 places.
Yeah.
10. Stroll gets 1 for an actual collision. Behrman gets 10 for an overtake.
Yeah. It's fucked. Honestly, I
don't want to spark your. I don't want the soapbox to come out. I'm quite happily going to under lock and key, but
you can fucking give it a key. But yeah, I just don't understand the logic behind it.
Like I said, I saw the video of the Behrman. I saw the video of both incidents, to be brutally honest. But I saw the video of the Behrman incident. I'm like, he come round the last chicane, and the Williams was going very slow. I think the red flags had just been called, so he was still at quite a decent speed. And they were one corner from the pit lane. The incident was on a totally different part of the circuit. So to me, for him to have jammed on the brakes, possibly locked up and probably then gone straight into the back of the Williams, would have been far more dangerous than what he did.
Yeah, it probably would. It probably would have been a less of a.
He'd have got 1 place for that, wouldn't he? Because that's causing a collision. So that's the word for telling F1 drivers now. In any situation, just run into the other car, you'll get penalised less.
Yeah. It's, like I said, the organisation's it's screwed. There's no consistency. Okay, yeah, I get why there was quite a few red flags throughout this weekend, but I get why.
This last couple of years, we seem to be a lot more red flag happy than we ever used to be. I don't know if it's something I've noticed the last 2 or 3 years. We seem to get far more stuff that would be covered by, and this is probably more during races, but stuff that would just get long yellows and stuff. They seem to be quite quick to throw reds now, which I'm not entirely against. I will say this: I understand.
I kind of get why with Monaco, though.
Yeah, but even no. In general, I kind of get why. And to be honest, in stuff like practice, because in especially like qualifying, cause he stops the time. So in a lot of ways, that to me can be better.
Yeah, practice doesn't.
No, but it's just that 10 positions for overtaking under red flags. It's like, I'm sure poor Ollie must feel like someone at the FIA's got it out for him.
Yeah, and it, like you said, it's here on the beginning of the qualifying note. Stroll penalised 1 grid position for causing a collision during practice.
A further 3 for impeding qualifying, which we'll probably get onto that.
Behrman penalised 10 positions for overtaking under red flags in practice, and then obviously Hamilton got penalised.
10 positions basically meant there was a 99.9% chance Ben was starting last.
Yeah.
Because the chances of him getting out of the top 10, while not impossible, were less likely, shall we say. I mean, I'm surprised he wasn't meant to start back at Imola.
Which...
or was it a Facebook comment? You have to start off a boat in the marina.
Yeah. I mean, it was... I mean, we'll come on to that in qualifying, but I think he's...
I mean, they've both got to be glad that they've never changed the rules so that grid penalties carry. Because Stroll had 4, but only qualified 19, so he technically only served... In fact, I don't know if he'd have served 1 or if Behrman would have taken precedent. So Stroll probably got away without a penalty, realistically.
Is anybody taking anything over to Spain, though?
As of right now, I don't think so. Like I said to you before we came on air, I was having a quick look to see if anything had been said about an incident during the race, which we'll get onto during the race, obviously.
Yeah.
But Lance Stroll basically started in his qualifying spot because I'm guessing because Behrman had more, that carried.
Oh, technically, and we'll come on to it in a minute, anyways. That it meant that where Behrman qualified, he technically ended up starting 27th, something like that.
Can you imagine if they did that, push him back far enough to where that would be on the grid? He'd have been back around the last corner.
Yeah, he would have been. I mean,
it's
the rules are going to even get worse because, there's going to be 2 extra cars on the grid.
At least 2.
There'll be 2 extra cars at least on that grid from
next season.
Next season.
But there seems to be more and more talk about a 12th team.
Really?
I don't have. Yeah, I'm seeing more. If you go through the side of Facebook, I've seen more and more about the potential of. I don't know if it's Andretti again or there's talk already of a 12th pointer bid together.
Unfortunately, that didn't work well. Good. Andretti's success in Formula One, considering their IndyCar. Yeah, let's not go down this rabbit hole.
IndyCar
didn't work well though, did it?
Was it 4 laps he managed?
And then got pushed into a wall.
They call it the Andretti curse, didn't they? Because no Andretti family members actually won it since Mario back in about the 60s.
No. But yeah.
We digress.
We do. So, qualifying.
Qualifying, yeah. I only saw the highlight reel. I didn't see the whole thing. So you have to lead this one a little bit. I can go off the results.
Yeah, so obviously, we had Q on, and it was interesting because, weirdly enough, the Ferraris were looking quite strong.
Mm.
Or one of the Ferraris, at least, at that point. But, I mean, it was... The big shock for me was Merck did not seem to have any pace at all.
Combined, I'm pretty sure Antonelli binned it right at the end, didn't he?
Of Q1.
Yeah.
He did. I'm going to say it, but Calapinto's chances right now for these five for 5 races to prove what he's got.
I wouldn't take Monaco as the greatest yardstick for that, though. So it was Q2, I think, that Antonelli binned in. My mistake.
Antonelli didn't even get through to Q2.
No, Q1, right? Yeah, right into Q1. Yeah, sorry, my bad. Yeah, he binned into the last chicane.
Yeah.
Oh no, it's him that did the back wheel. That's what we were talking about off stream, wasn't it?
So it was Hadjar on the front and
Nelly clipped that wheel. We actually clipped the front, but he ripped the tyre off the back. I've got the highlights up on where's the money at.
But Alpine's shocking, to be honest. And yeah, Behrman's just seems to be having a real shocker right now, which is kind of a shame for him.
I think the problem is you're trying to compare, because when Behrman sat in the Ferrari, it was a very different car.
He's very professional, doesn't put his phone on silent.
What was it we said the other night? So I'm more like 11 years. I'm only still just learning this trade, mate.
Yeah, I know. I'm not. The problem is I'm not comparing Behrman with him being in the Ferrari. He has been quite good, and then he's just had a bit of a shocker. Okay, yeah, he did great in a Ferrari, but a Ferrari was a Ferrari.
Yeah.
They're not exactly brilliant at times.
They're great to get in the way for Max Verstappen.
Yeah.
And you heard the radio, it was a terrible team talk. Basically, as much as I dislike Hamilton, that was entirely on his engineer.
But what was it? Verstappen's on a slow lap. No, he's on a push lap. No, he's on... They were not...
Well, they said slow lap first, and the next he comes tearing round Hamilton.
Yeah, they weren't clear. And okay, Monaco may not be the best place for radio and GPS and all this crap, but they would know if he's pushing.
As bad as it was at the end of the race. Are you mad at me, guys?
Why? Because they fucked off the pit wall or something?
Yeah, I think most of them were off the pit wall because obviously Leclerc had finished higher up. And but yeah.
But it was just like...
Yeah,
So
Antonelli binned at the end of Q1, leaving now to be him, Bortoleto, Behrman, Gasly, Stroll, and Colapinto. So I say Behrman and Stroll's penalties were both sort of null and void.
Yeah. Because after Stroll decided to put his Aston Martin into the rear of Charles Leclerc during practice.
No, it was the other way around, wasn't it? He cut back across Leclerc.
Did he or did he not? I thought he rear-ended him.
Leclerc rear-ended him. He was going down into the Rascas. He was off to the side to let a car past, and then swung back onto the racing line. I don't think he fully realised there was another car coming. And Leclerc ran into the back of him. You don't see the video, though. They Aston Martin mechanics trying to fix the back end of the car.
No.
It looked like he was doing something quite rude to it, let's put it that way.
But I didn't, as harsh as this sound, I didn't expect Yuki to be great around Monaco. If Max wasn't good around Monaco, I didn't expect Yuki to be good around Monaco.
The Red Bull as well appears to be a car that does well at high speed circuit. I think Imola showed us last weekend. The Red Bull does its best at speed. Obviously, there ain't really a speed section at Monaco.
I mean, I've got to say, fair play to Hadjar. Jeez.
Hadjar had a solid weekend.
He did.
A very solid weekend. I mean, we'll come on to the race in just a moment and the show that was. But
see, the
even Lawson, I mean, I think both Racing Bulls are ahead of Yuki. Well, Ocon up into 8th. So that, in the experienced hands, the Haas isn't terrible.
No.
Obviously, Behrman will get there, I would hope. But at the moment, obviously, Ocon's got the benefit of a good few years at this game.
Exactly. I mean, fair play. Fair play to Alonso, for Christ's sake.
Still not got his points, though, has he?
No. It was going to be a typical shootout, though.
The only Q2 surprise obviously was Russell's car letting him down.
And the Marshall relay race.
I mean, did we ever get to find out? Because, I mean, an engine failure for a Merc, I wouldn't say it's unheard of, but it's a very rare occurrence.
It hit a bump.
I'm guessing Alonso's technically was like an engine failure, but see, Mercs don't fail very often.
No, Alonso's was an engine failure, but that was the race, but
Yeah.
No, Russell...
Yeah, that was the only surprise in Q2. The rest of the usual suspects out, the two Williams, Yuki and Hulkenberg, like.
It was kind of a shame because Williams were, well, actually, one Williams of Sainz. But yeah, no, it hit.
Hit a bump in the tunnel or something.
No, it was up the hill. It was even before he'd hit the tunnel.
Okay.
So what had happened was, as he was going up the hill, he hit a bump, and because he's travelling that quick up that hill,
managed to coast it down.
Basically coasted it right down into the tunnel. Yeah, I think he was trying to get it to that bottom escape road.
Yeah, there was an escape road on the outside of the corner before, though, you could have used. But I guess, yeah.
Yeah, he was literally just because of the speed he was carrying, he didn't know if he had any brakes or...
Maybe he just wanted to see the big banner advertising the F1 movie.
In the tunnel.
Yeah.
And then it showed the Disney
and F1 logos,
Disney and F1.
Is it Disney actually? I thought Apple were behind the film. Is it Disney? Did they have some say?
No, so this is something else. Disney's launched something else with F1.
I was going to say, because I'm sure it was
in
Apple.
2026.
I'm sure it was Apple had the F1 book. I'm not sure how I'm going to watch it. I'm assuming it'll come to cinemas. I hope it will anyway.
It is coming to cinemas.
Yeah, good, because I ain't got Apple TV and I ain't getting it.
It is coming to cinemas because, unfortunately, I've been having to contemplate, the, what do I go and see that month in June? So...
there's a few out there. That's about the only one that's for me, but there's a few for you, isn't there?
Mm-hmm. But whether I do want to see the F1 movie, really. I know that sounds a bit weird being an F1 podcast, but we'll see. Yeah, but I don't know. I think the whole, like, the Russell thing, I think it was just because I don't know if he knew if he had any brakes
Hmm.
at that point because of the car conking out. I think that's why he freewheeled it under the tunnel. Yes, it caused a red flag, but bad place to break
Yeah.
down. Then they push him while he's sat on the side of the car. And then they tell him to get in it. And then they push him down into that escape road because the marshals,
Escape road, yeah.
because the marshals from the tunnel swapped with another marshals. Then when they got to the bottom, where the escape road bit is, other marshals took over. It was literally a marshal relay race.
But he got it cleared.
Yeah.
And then obviously we went to Q3 where it's this isn't Hadjar into 6, which is fantastic. Other than that, it's pretty much the usual crowd.
I mean, Albon.
Albon 10th, yeah.
But
I mean, you've got...
What?
Go on. Okay, you got the disparities, haven't you? You got Alonso and Ocon, then you compare it to Stroll and Behrman, and it's like the opposite ends of the grid sort of thing.
But I tell you what, Lando, a lap in under 70 seconds.
Huge track record, wasn't it?
Yeah.
109.9 for those of us that work in reasonable units, not just seconds.
How fucking sick must Leclerc have been feeling because of the fact that he was on provisional pole at this point.
At home, after he won it last year.
And then Lando just came along.
I realised before, and I said, a lot of the F1 drivers call Monaco home, but Leclerc is in the position of actually being a Monegas.
Leclerc
he didn't just live there, he was born.
No, Leclerc was born there. So,
most of the drivers live at Monaco. Norris lives out there.
Norris lives there. I think Oscar does.
Oscar does, Hamilton does, a lot of them do live there.
Don't know where Max lives.
I'm not to jump out a little bit, but before they went to the podium, they were briefed about how they weren't to spray the royal family.
Yeah.
And I think it was one of the commentators said, what penalty would they get? He said, well, they do have to get home.
Yeah.
He said they'll go home and find the water's been cut off or something.
Yeah. But no, that lap from Norris was, yet again, him and Max seem to be quite good at pulling these laps out of the bag.
The thing about both him and Max is when they're on form, they will outdrive a bad car. Max in particular, Max so more so. You give them a half a shot, and in Max's case, he will always take it. Now, Lando, I've said it before, I feel at times there's too many little mistakes.
Clearly.
That's my opinion. I feel free to disagree, anyone who does, but there's a reason why Oscar shouldn't be in the championship at this point, but Lando just doesn't seem to have that. But at that particular moment, on this particular occasion, yes, he did. And I will admit that. He pulled that lap out of the bag out of nowhere.
Yeah.
And it was incredible. Just absolutely incredible. I mean, the balls you've got to do to Monaco in the first place is... You know what I mean?
From anybody...
It's the nearest to me that F1 gets to rallying.
The thing is, from anybody that knows, when we played the F1 games, we fucking despise
You say that.
Monaco.
Do you not remember last year, you and Alan both crashed out, and I did up to about 2 laps to the end.
Yeah, and then you cocked at the same corner that quite a few did.
Because we joked when we got to Monaco, this will be a quick one, we'll get the next race done. I think you and Alan were both out within 3 or 4 laps.
Well, I crashed at I crashed at fucking Sandoval.
Alan, yeah, that was where I did the sound effect over it, wasn't it?
Yeah.
because I had the big mirror set up, and I saw you go across the screen, like.
Yeah.
But yeah, I managed to about 1 or 2 laps from the end.
Yeah, but that's not like you. That's the thing. That isn't like
Oh
you.
yeah,
in
I
Monaco.
didn't expect it, and I was fairly quick as well. It's not like I was piddling round.
No, I know. And then you went
And I did the same thing as Nelly did.
Yeah, you went and fucked
Undercut the swimming pool.
it. But yeah, no.
So as you say, then the grid is in effect. It's Stroll's penalty and Behrman's, which kind of cancelled each other out.
Yeah.
Hamilton 3 places for impeding, dropped him to 7th. Basically gave Max the position. Moved Hadjar up to 5th.
Alonso into 6th.
Yeah.
And then the Merc in 14th and 15th.
Yeah. Neither of them setting a Q2.
No.
I don't know whether there should be a change of rules where if you don't set a Q2 or Q3 time, you go to the back of that previous. We actually don't see it. Do you remember in the early days of this setup when we used to get cars that wouldn't put a time in Q3?
What you mean, like the Claire at Monaco and ended up still having Paul?
No, that you back when we first went to this 3-stage qualifying, you get cars if an unexpected car made Q3, they wouldn't even bother setting time.
Yeah.
Because you were 10th anyway.
Yeah. But if But that was the thing. Do you know why, even with the penalties, do you know why Russell and that still kept their places?
None of the penalties would have affected that area of the grid.
Because nobody could beat them on time. That's why they still kept that from the Q1, Q2 times, because nobody beat them. Or if Stroll did, his penalty.
Yeah.
Screwed him a little, and all his penalty, but yeah, I mean, should we just talk about this absolute shit show?
Which particular shit show is this? Because trust me, there's plenty to go at.
Well,
you mean the mandatory 2 pit stops?
Yeah.
And what that caused, which was, I mean, I was going to kind of throw this to you as an open question because I get what they were trying to do. Because the Monaco Grand Prix, you remember last year, there was a red flag on lap 1. Everyone put clean tyres on because you're allowed to, because that's the rules.
Yeah.
And then we had 77 laps per session.
Yeah.
Now, what we had this time, for those who maybe didn't fully catch it while you're watching this, if you didn't, I don't know, but each to their own, is mandatory 2 pit stops.
Yeah.
Which created a disparity in...
Well,
I mean, personally, if I'd have been in their position, I'd have been tempted to do both. I'd have been one of these who'd done both pit stops in the first 5 laps.
Yeah, but if you look, I mean, you look at this. You got Yuki, Gasly, Behrman, Bortoletto, all within the first lap. Pitting.
And you got the likes of the 2 Mercs, who at one point we thought we're just going to not bother pitching and just take the time penalty.
Yeah, and the fine to go with it. If they had,
I will say that I do like, and we'll come on to this in a little bit. I do like, as much as we don't like the FIA, their answer to Russell, who by the way is the head of the Drivers' Association.
Yeah.
Was absolutely world class. I'll give him credit on that one. That was good.
Well, yeah.
Well, he'll just take the fine. He'll just take the penalty because it's only 5 seconds. Here, have a drive-through.
Yeah.
And then Russell, I don't want to talk about it. Prefer not to speak.
Well, yeah.
But what we ended up with because of it, and I will say this, Racing Bulls and Hadjar Hadjar and Lawson played it to perfection.
Look at the fucking Williams in the end as well.
Yeah, well, that was only because they got Racing Bulled. The Racing Bulls, Hadjar managed to make both his stops without losing a position. because Lawson backed the field up that much. I mean, let's be honest here. When was the last time you saw a race where all the way up to 9th were lapped twice?
We didn't. We haven't.
Not once.
But twice.
Twice.
Yeah.
Even the heady days of the Mercs lapping the entire field and finishing a day ahead.
Mm.
They didn't get that far.
No. But, like I said, this is how much of a shit show it was. I couldn't. I'm sorry, but I couldn't I couldn't follow it.
I mean, as Brundle said, he got to the point where we're focusing more on that than the racing. Now,
yeah,
the problem is, like I said, I get the idea.
Didn't work. Really didn't.
No, it didn't. But okay, you're not the head of FA, but you are given your job to make Monaco a better race. What do? What's your option?
Well, if they were going to do if they're going to continue with the mandatory 2 pit stops, right?
Hmm.
You give them a pit stop. You basically say, right, you have to pit on lap.
Well, I'd give them a window. I won't give them necessarily a straight lap. You must have done 1 pit stop by this lap.
You've got. Well, that's what I mean. You've got to have pitted by first pit stop by lap 15, for example. Then you have to make your second pit stop by lap 46 or something like that. Just they're not accurate figures, guys, so don't take them as gospel. But you set.
That's kind of what I was thinking. Because I say you wouldn't tell you have to do it on this lap, but because obviously safety cars and things could.
Yeah.
But yeah, if you said you've got to make your first pit stop within the first 30 laps and your second one by lap 60.
Yeah.
Okay, half of them would hang on. You'd have a mad rush on lap 30. I can see that coming, but at least. But the trouble is, it's a difficult one in you because I've always said you don't want the FIA interfering with the racing too much.
But we saw.
I don't want to go down the realm of competition safety cars and shit like that.
Yeah, I know, but.
But Monaco, I mean, we all know my opinion. Monaco to me should be Monaco should be F1's Goodwood.
Yeah.
Take it off the championship. It's not a championship event. Make the teams turn up. If you want to be in the championship, you've got to be here.
Mm.
And make it an exhibition weekend. You don't do a full length race. You do maybe a 20 lapper, but you get some classic cars out. You get celebrities out. You do all of that with it. Make it the jewel in the crown, but it's just not championship points because it doesn't. And I hate saying it, but it doesn't work, especially with modern cars being so big, so wide. It does not work.
See, that's the thing. And going, I know we're jumping a little bit forward to 2026, but 2026 they are supposed to be slightly making the cars smaller.
Yeah, but it's still not going to be. Did you see there was a comparison picture online a while ago? It was a 2002 car versus a 2024. And the size difference was insane. 2002 barely got to the end of the side pods.
Yeah.
An F1 car is like the size of a family pickup.
Yeah, it's ridiculous, the size of them cars. And it's just...
Now, at least we avoided both the Porsches and the F2 had massive accidents, didn't they, early on?
The F2 did my trick at Baku.
Yeah.
Yeah,
the Porsches. The Porsches blocked the track
up the hill.
Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, at least the F2 was a bit more in the bottom, bottom corner.
Mm.
In the sand of Vort, but that's what you get if you don't give room.
Mm.
And that's what happened. That's why the F2 happened.
Yeah.
See, even the Porsches around Monaco, they're not exactly small cars either, but look what happened. It's like, is the FIA thinking? Or is the FIA just wanting the money out of Monaco these days? Because that's what it bloody feels like to me.
Well, it won't just be the FIA, it'll be the money that Monaco makes on the weekend as well. Let's not forget Monaco
Oh, we know that.
Monaco will get a lot out of that weekend in terms of people around. And I mean, all those people who were still in those apartments overlooking the grid. What's the betting that every single one of those is on Airbnb? And what do you reckon they cost for this weekend?
You're looking probably nearly $2,000, if not more.
You know, and I was saying that as a rhetorical question. I wasn't really expecting an answer. I'll be brutally honest.
I could even find you that. I could have
Well,
even find that out because I have Airbnb app on my phone.
I think I took mine off. I was looking at. Why did I just Google 2026 calendar? I meant F1 calendar. You absolute wet wipe. What?
But it's just, yeah, I don't know with Monaco anymore because that's the thing. They're getting, and that's the thing that disheartens me as a fan. Is the fact that they're getting rid of they're getting rid of bloody.
Well, they're not. Imola hasn't been got rid of yet.
That was the last race at Imola.
There's time yet for that to.
Can't see it happening. They need to get rid of. I know I keep saying it. Monaco needs to kind of come off the calendar.
Told you. And like I say, my personal opinion is a non-championship event.
I mean, that's not bad if you actually book it.
I'm looking. Are you on Airbnb looking like next weekend, like I am?
No, I was looking at next year. Its prices.
Well, like this. Well, we haven't got a calendar yet for next year, have we?
No, but judging by, I'm just basically basing it around this year's.
Yeah.
But on next year's. And it's just
You're
like
that, aren't you? Yeah, but that's because they don't officially know.
Yeah, I know they don't.
The second we have an announcement, I bet all of these prices will add a 0 on to the end.
No, I can imagine.
But anyway.
I can imagine. And it's...
So we... Go on.
I don't know. I just feel like it's
a difficult one.
Yeah.
Like I say, because it's like, you don't want the FIA getting too tied up. You don't want the FIA to start trying to manage racing. Now, at Monaco, unfortunately, without some intervention, there really isn't any racing.
I'm just reading a little bit of news, and I hadn't seen this.
Which one's that?
Wolf reveals Williams boss Val sent him an apology text during Monaco Grand Prix.
But that's the other thing, yeah, and as we were kind of alluding to before we got sidetracked. You had first the Racing Bulls doing it to particularly fantastic fashion, and then the Williams basically slowing the entire field down to the point where you just had a train behind them.
Yeah, it was...
In the end, it got so bad that Russell literally cut the chicane in order to overtake Albon. As I alluded to earlier, going about, oh, just give us because the 5-second penalty, he doesn't care. Which when the FIA slapped him with a drive-through.
Yeah, and that's what you get for mouthing off.
Well, to me, that's it, yeah. The penalties are one thing, but if somebody blatantly obviously doesn't care about the penalty, that's when you slap them with the hardest one you can.
Yeah, slapped him with his drive-through. But then...
Considering he is the head of the Drivers' Association. That'll be a very interesting meeting with them before Barcelona, won't it?
The problem is I think the drivers are a bit pissed at the FIA right now.
I mean, you also had Antonelli ended up doing near enough the same thing.
Antonelli did the same fucking thing.
This is after we kind of jumped around. We should talk about, to me, the big talking point was Pierre Gasly's accident. Well, let's stick to order. Come on, let's do things in order. It's a rarity for us. The first thing we saw was actually Bortoletto, when Antonelli basically scared him off the track.
Yeah.
He made a good move around the outside of Rascars. Antonelli dived back down the inside of him, and Bortoletto didn't have to hit the wall there.
No, he didn't.
If he'd have backed off a little bit, he'd have got around, but for some reason, he ended up in the barrier.
He tried to get... Yeah, but I think he tried to get Antonelli a penalty, but it didn't work. And
it wasn't many laps later that we got into the Yuki Tsunoda Gasly incident, which two things. Number one, how strong was that Red Bull be built?
Oh, man. Yeah, I mean,
Because it took one hell of a whack on the back end.
Oh, yeah.
Obviously, Gasly ended up with a wheel off, and then, in my opinion, a stupid move, took the car back to the pit, shedding debris. The FIA, I'm actually surprised we've not seen anything. There's not been a fine or a grid drop. I was looking before we came online. One of the reasons why we record this a day later these days is to try and catch things like that.
Yeah, because in the past we'd record this.
We used to record Sunday night and sit here going, well, we need to wait for the FIA to give a solution before we can...
Yeah.
So we chose to move it back.
Yeah, that was a reason why.
There's no... Because, they're not... The FIA are quite clear that you do not take a car around the track in dangerous condition.
No.
Now, he got it back to the pit lane, which fair enough avoided a bad yellow flag, safety car, red, something like that. I get that logic. He then got into the pit lane, and because the front wheel was literally ripped off, all the brake lines were broken. He had no brakes. And I do believe it was a brave set of Williams mechanics had to basically stand in front of it and stop the car. Now, I mean, we talk about safety and that. Now, if you're going into the pit lane without the ability to stop, to me, you should be fined pretty damn heavily for that.
Yeah. I don't understand the
I don't get. I mean, I can't say it was a team decision. I don't think the team would tell him to bring the car back because nothing they could do about it. It's not like they could slap a wheel back on it and get it back out. And you're risking potentially more damage because if he'd have failed to make one of the corners and slapped another wall, you're potentially talking more damage. So there was no logical reason other than he didn't want to bring out yellow, red safety car. No, safety car might have just... Because the safety car would have literally triggered a set of pit stops, might have just shook things up a little bit.
Yeah.
But I think between that and, say, the Bristol Racing Bulls and the Williamses is what pushed Mercedes to go rather deep, shall we say. When you consider that George Russell's first pit stop wasn't until lap...
Is that his drive?
68.
Is that his drive-through, or is that his first pit stop?
No, his drive-through was lap 63. I know it must have been earlier than that. I don't think his drive-through is listed. He's literally pit stops that are listed here. His drive-through is not listed in the pit stop summary. So he pitted lap 62 and 68.
Yeah.
Antonelli pitted 69 and 71.
Christ.
And then, of course, we had Max pitting on the last lap, seemingly throwing away a win, but the truth was, if he didn't, he'd have been fined back down to fourth anyway. So
yeah,
Max was holding out for a safety car, so I think it was a brilliant. But actually, once again, this was Max at his best. He was holding that lead till the last possible second because the safety car with a red flag at just the right moment would have handed him that.
Yeah, one of them.
You know, it was actually a really great play.
Yeah,
The pity on lap 1 really didn't work out for him.
no.
You know, because he only still managed to get 17th. So Mercedes ended up 11th and 18th. We had DNS from Alonso, we talked about earlier, engine failure. And Gasly, we talked about he Yuki'd himself.
See,
Kimi actually finished 3 laps down.
oh yeah, and
3 laps.
do you know what?
That's a pace only you can get near.
No, but you know what was rare was to hear Alonso rattled.
I don't think he's liking. I have a feeling this might be his last year. Unless something drastically changes with the start of this season, I think he may.
Did you hear how rattled he was, though?
Oh yeah, that's what I'm saying. Don't forget, this is now his worst season since like his rookie season. He's 8 races in, he's not scored a point yet.
And this is the thing, though. He needs to be there. He really needs to be there for 2026 at least.
I don't know what his contract might already be in for that, but I just have a feeling that if this doesn't improve, that he could decide, you know what, not bothered anymore. He'll go off and go back to running his kart circuit or one of the numerous other hobbies.
But who would you put in the seat?
They've got that Russian guys then to be there next, haven't they?
Who?
Drugovic.
Didn't think Drugovic was Russian.
Have I got that wrong? I do apologise if I had. I thought he was.
If he was Russian,
Brazilian. I do apologise.
If Drugovic was Russian, he wouldn't be in the sport.
I apologise. That was my mistake. Absolutely, I thought he was.
Oh, you're thinking of bloody spin.
No, I'm not. I definitely wasn't going to make spin. Don't worry.
Jeez. Can't believe you just changed his nationality.
It's not the first time we've done something like that.
That's true. But
things it almost always is because we here talk about him as like a rookie, but he's 25. He'd be very old for a rookie.
Well, he's not a rookie though. Really?
Well, he's not actually raced in F1 though. In the world of F1, he is.
In the world of F1, he is, but he's
never actually raced in F1.
He's not.
On the odd practice session.
The problem is he's not gonna get.
Apparently, he's also McLaren's reserve driver.
Well, have you heard about Bottas? Bottas is.
Yeah, he's like 3 teams, isn't he?
Bottas is a few teams reserve.
Bottas is trying to be the new Hulkenberg.
Yeah.
Just collect racing suits. But.
Okay. Well, there's nothing really more
No, unfortunately,
add at this point.
It wasn't a great race. I did fall asleep for a chunk of it in the middle, I will admit. But I will say, as I said to you off the thing, it was still more interesting than friggin' IndyCar, but that's a different podcast.
Yeah. I think we'd struggle doing one of those. I think we'd struggle doing an IndyCar podcast, to be honest.
Look at that, he made a left turn. So amazing.
So, I'm going to get into...
Don't bother, we don't need to.
I'm kind of wondering how people... Oh, you didn't do...
I'm back into last in overall standings. I'm going to have to look at this because there's something not working for my... But then again,
so
how many other weekends would Russell and Antonelli let you down? Russell's been Mr. freaking consistent up till this weekend.
Yeah, I know. So obviously, Logan is in 8th. He was on 8th. He finished 8th this weekend with 120 points.
I only beat him by 1 point.
Alonso let him down.
Alonso and Alpine.
Oh yeah, Alpine as well. David.
I've only got the negative on Antonelli. That's the annoying thing.
Then
Ryan was
with
the problem with Alonso and Aston Martin.
124 was Alonso and Aston Martin.
Angela was Gasly, was her problem.
133. Adam
Antonelli.
He was on 153. Me.
And you use your no negative chip.
I was gonna play it. Monaco, for Christ's sake.
Yeah, but I don't actually think it did you a lot of good.
It probably didn't, looking at this now.
Because Behrman didn't get any negatives. Racing Bull didn't get any negatives. No, I don't actually think there were.
No.
I think you basically wasted it.
I probably did.
Oh no, Behrman. Adja would have got you a -1 for positions lost.
And
I think that's the. Oh, so you saved 1 point.
I know.
Which I'm not. I'm just saying for. It's like, I get where you did it, and I'm not disagreeing with you.
And then Simon. Leclerc, Bortoletto, Carlo Pinto, Albon, and Hadjar.
Well, he finally properly changed his team, didn't he? After, because he had to move Duanoff.
Yeah, well,
Alan also with a no negative.
I knew Alan. Yeah, but I kind of knew Alan was going to play it because I knew who Alan had on his team. And Gasly would have screwed him.
Gasly would have. I think Colapinto wouldn't have been brilliant, would he? Although, actually, no, he didn't. Yeah.
And Colapinto only got Simon 5.
But yeah, overall, I have gone back. I'm now back in last place again.
But for some reason, so Gasly was -20, right?
Yeah, because of the crash.
So where would that have put Alan? Because he scored 226.
We still would have been ahead. He still would have been ahead around 206.
Oof.
So he's still won, but not by as much.
Yeah.
I've made a couple of changes for the upcoming race, so we'll see what.
So, Alan's now the little bastard. So David's right at the bottom, unfortunately.
I'm strongest in the league. Wait, we're not done yet. There's time.
You need to do something drastic, my friend.
I've made some changes. I'm working on it.
Now, Alan's overtaken me.
Only by 8 points, though.
Yeah.
And Simon is nearly 100 clear.
Yep. Yeah. So current standings: David's down in last with 961. Angela's 7th with 969. Ryan's in 6th with 1029. Logan's in 5th with 1278. Adam is in 4th with 1397. I'm in 3rd with 1580 because Alan, obviously, as you know, 1588, and Simon is at the top with 1659. And Alan hated the fact when Simon appeared.
Great move was that.
So I might have a look at maybe some changes. I don't know yet. We'll see. But is there anything else you want to add?
I'd like to invite a comment from the people watching of what they do to try and help the Monaco Grand Prix, because, like I say, it wasn't a Grand Prix.
It really wasn't. Obviously.
But I don't know how you'd fix it. I don't know how you'd fix it without overly getting involved in the sport, which is something you don't want the authorities to do. So I invite comment from people what they think, if they've got ideas.
Yeah. Either you can comment on when it's out on YouTube, or like if you're wherever your podcasty bit is. If it's Spotify,
that.
If it's Spotify or whatever, comment down below. Comment on the episode.
On any of our socials, or on most of them.
Yeah.
I mean, have you got any closing thoughts?
They need to do something with that race before it becomes an absolute train wreck or a laughing stock, because honest to God, that was an absolute shit show. That wasn't really... I wouldn't class that as racing, and I felt sorry for the fans that had to sit in the grandstands and watch that. That was embarrassing. That
Not the worst one we've ever had, but yeah, it wasn't great.
It wasn't. That wasn't racing. That was who can gain positions and all this shit through pit stops and team games.
That was who can go the slowest around Monaco.
Yeah, that was. It wasn't good to watch even on TV.
No, like I say, I think I slept through a bit in the middle.
Yeah, it was a bit. It was a bit of an embarrassment, to be honest.
Yeah,
but,
I know what you're saying.
Before we wrap up, obviously, I'm going to do the timings like I usually do for Spain.
Yeah.
So obviously, Spain is the 30th of May to the 1st of June, which is going to be interesting. So, obviously, these are UK times. Practice 1 on the 30th at 12:30 till 1:30. 30th of May, practice 2 from 4 till 5. May 31st, 11:30 till 12:30 for practice 3. Same day for qualifying, 3 till 4. Not a bad qualifying time, but we'll see. And then the race on the Sunday, the 1st of June, at 2 o'clock.
Yeah, I do like these European ones are good timings for us.
Or if you're on international time, like maybe if you're in Spain, if you're not actually if you're not there at the race, or if you're anywhere like, I don't know, Amsterdam or wherever, just add an hour onto the UK time to get the track time. If you're somewhere else around the world, well, don't ask me that one because I have no clue. But like I say, other than that, yeah. All I'm going to say is, obviously, thank you to everybody for listening. Thank you to David for being here, as usual.
Pleasure as always.
Obviously, don't forget to go and check out the gaming channel, and we shall see you after Spain. So, oh yeah, and don't forget, it comes out 3 PM on a Wednesday. So, until then.
Later, folks.
Goodbye for now.